you guys. Uh, and I've been in Bangalore now for maybe about 24, 25 years. I'm 34 today, so I've spent most of my life here. Life growing up was uh, changing schools every 3 years up until I came to Bangalore. Picked up chess somewhere along the way, early in life, at about the age of 5 or 6. Played chess at many levels, turned professional at about the age of 13. Stopped going to school and pursued chess full time at 14, I think, in the ninth grade. Did that for a couple of years, realized I was not very good at chess. Stopped chess at 17, joined a call center, did a couple of tiny businesses around selling cell phones. I had a laundry store once, I had a medical store. Also started trading at the age of 17. Trading led to managing money for third party, friends and family essentially. We started, me and my brother Nitin, who's my co-founder, we started a company called Kamath Associates when I was about 20 years old, and we managed money for HNIs in our own community. We became sub-brokers to Reliance, to Way to Wealth, to a couple of large brokers. That kind of in turn was inefficient because we still had to pay significant fees in terms of brokerage. So the entire intention of starting Zerodha was, if we become a broker ourselves, we don't have to pay third-party fees. And back in the day, brokerage was really expensive. You would pay as much as 0.5%, a quarter to 0.5% of turnover as brokerage. And when you're a retail trader and you use leverage to buy and sell, it becomes a significant part of your net P&L for the month. So we started Zerodha in 2009. I was about 23 back then. Started with the intention of saving money, the brokerage we paid. Once we started, a few friends and family wanted to, again, come on the platform. They said, you're a broker already, why don't we just use your platform? So they hopped on, grew very organically. We once sat down and thought, what should we charge these people when they're using our platform? A very early realization was in broking. It does not matter if a client is buying 1 share or 1,000,000 shares, the cost to the broker is the same. So brokers in India do not do any of the order matching. We're a hop in between a client and the exchange. So we accumulate transactions or orders from clients, we send it to the exchange, and the order matching actually happens at the exchange level. So we decided, why would we charge people differently based on the volume that they're trading? We said, in material of how much you buy or you sell, we'll charge you a flat fee of 20 rupees per transaction. People like that, especially the full-time traders who are paying tens of thousands of rupees a month in brokerage. If somebody was buying shares worth 1 crore rupees, up until now he paid 50,000 rupees. Now under this model, he only had to pay 20 rupees. So that drastically changed the status quo in the broking industry. We got a lot of people, a lot of word of mouth going, a lot of people started using the platform. And the right kind of people who were professional traders came on early. That continued for a couple of years up until 2013, when this guy called Kailash, who is our CTO today, joined us. And ever since he became part of our core team, I think we kind of started thinking outside of being a broker alone. We started building technology in-house around the fintech and broking space. So we would build everything from a back office software to an analytics platform to a research software to something as simple as nudging investors to do the right thing. Those products did really well. They were very well appreciated in an ecosystem where the incumbents had not really changed the way they work for many years up until then. And Zerodha grew from there. And over the last 7 years, a lot of you are entrepreneurs, and a lot of you will start companies in the fintech space. I think the hardest thing to do when you're starting a company in fintech, uh, when a person decides to put money with you on your platform, immaterial of how you're servicing him, is to build credibility. The one good thing we had going for us from the very beginning is we were a lot more transparent than our peers, but it still will take you a significant amount of time to build that credibility. You can do it by virtue of raising and spending a lot of money, or you could take the slow organic route of servicing people and waiting for them to go talk about the product and then building credibility. We chose the latter route, so we never raised any capital. We never put out an ad. There has never been a sales call which has been made. Our intention from the very beginning is to put revenue back into building a better product. And when the product is better, people will come to you on their own. Also, personally, we as a team, we've always believed that clients who are acquired using shortcuts, be it incentive, discount, whatever a company might call it, I think the stickiness of these clients is very low. They might be with you for 6 months, but when tomorrow somebody offers a bigger freebie, they kind of drift away very quickly. So we've kind of tried to shy away from them. We like real users who really like our products, and we wait for them to go out and vouch for us. So over the last 7 years, credibility started getting built organically because our base grew along the years. And at some point, we reached the inflection point in the last couple of years when things started to scale very quickly. We started with 1,000 clients in year one to 10,000 clients in year two. That 10,000 to 30, 40,000 happened in year three. But with scale, what happens is like now we've probably added 1 million clients in the last 6 months. So now that scale and that large base is kind of feeding itself. And the fact that we've built uh, these clients on our platform the right way, it gives us a natural moat. These people don't move away very quickly. They have brand loyalty. They've been with us for years. And we've always positioned ourselves to not look like a corporation. We try to look like we are traders creating products for other traders. Uh, we always put out, free education out there, free tools to help people learn. Uh, I think the way forward, I wouldn't like to call it social entrepreneurship, but I think you have to care for the community you service. We've had that ethos from the very beginning, and that has helped us tremendously over the last couple of years. That is largely Zerodha's journey. Along the way, we grew laterally. We became an NBFC 3, 4 years ago. We started a venture capital company called Rainmata, which invests in early stage and middle sized fintech startups. Asset management has always been my passion. At the core of it all, I'm a trader. I've been trading full time for maybe 16 years now, 17 years now. And I really enjoy it. True Beacon was an offspring of that. We found many inefficiencies in the asset management model, especially around the ultra HNI space. If you're a HNI, you go to your private bank or you go to your IIFL, Aventus, Ask, Ambits of the world. What typically happens is they will sell you a third party fund. They will charge you 1 or 2% of the money you're investing. Then the fund manager takes 2% every year, immaterial of, outperformance, no profit. He will still continue to charge you that 2%. And there are many other inefficiencies like you can't take out your money within 2 years. There is an exit load. There is a setup fee. If you want to know what your NAV is, you have to call your relationship manager and ask him on the phone. What we're trying to do with True Beacon is remove all of this. We've removed middlemen, no more distributors. You have to find us yourself. We don't charge any annual management fee. We are completely open-ended. We have dashboards on which you can operate. You never have to talk to a relationship manager. And you only pay part of the profit if you make a profit, and you do it after the cycle at the end of the financial year. So that's our new venture. It's a hedge fund with funds sitting under it in a way. We've been running it for about 16 months now. It's not very large yet, but it's scaling very quickly. So very hopeful about that project too. Yeah, I think that's a short, brief history of our ecosystem and largely what we do.
Right. It's incredible to hear that story from you. And I really wanted to know, like, going back to your initial years, like you said, when people were charging loads of money, you had a thought of charging just 20 rupees per transaction. So, like many of us in this meeting right now have ideas, but that thought of कि मैं क्या ही कर पाऊंगा, that pulls us down. So how did you overcome that thought and manage to like do with your instinct, like 20 rupees per transaction?
Yeah, so Rachit, we are still as insecure about ourselves as we were, 12 years ago. So much. See, there are always 10,000 people who are more able, have a better idea, more hardworking, and all of those things, right? In the ecosystem. For us, the biggest thing was we got very lucky that we came about in 2009. It was just after 2008 and the crash had happened, and people were not really spending money on innovation in our industry. So we got very lucky to be in the right place at the right time. If you guys were to ask me today when the ecosystem is a lot more evolved, uh, I would say always when you're betting, it makes a huge difference what problem you're trying to solve. But it makes an even bigger difference to research the industry you want to operate in and find stuff which is around the inflection point. Now, tomorrow, if you have, say, a company in peer-to-peer lending, for example, and if the industry grows by 100% a year, the odds of your company working go up significantly. So often we fixate upon one problem uh, that we want to solve, but we don't spend enough time on the industry to figure out if our timing is right. So I think that definitely helps.
Right. And did you have any background experience in trading before actually moving on to this, the firm you made, Kamath Associates, at the age of 19?
Did I started trading at 17? So I mean, so I don't know how many of you guys are traders. What are you guys studying at IIT?
So most of this audience is from IIT Delhi, and the branches are varying from mechanical, computer science,
Okay.
engineers mostly.
Yeah. So I don't know how many of you guys have any trading experience, but trading uh, is not something you can entirely learn on paper. I think you
Right.
need to be there in the market. You need to put your neck down the line. You will lose money. You will go bust. You will have many cycles of that. You have to pay tuition to the markets in a way. And I think by the time I was 20, I still lose money a lot of the time when I trade. But by the time I was 2021, I had the first 3 4 years where I had lost money repeatedly many times. And I think those experiences helped tremendously when we approached broking.
Right. So you said you at the age of 14 you actually had quit school. So
Yeah.
another rather unconventional decision of yours. So just wanted to know if by any chance you had an idea that this is actually the road billionaires travel, like quitting out of school. Was it anywhere in your mind back then?
No, 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 I had no idea whatsoever. I think it was stupidity. A 14-year-old kid can be very stupid, and if allowed by his parents, you know, there was no plan and there's no inkling. Also, this, I have to say, you hear this word billionaire and all of that ever too often. Uh, you guys are going to, enter this industry. Some of you will start your own companies, all of that. These are valuations. I wish I had that much money in the bank. I would not be, in my
Right.
office right now. I would probably be on a beach somewhere. But valuations don't really mean anything if you can't spend that money. Yeah. So no, I feel like we have a long way to go. We are only beginning to really scale. The good thing for our industry in India, it's very underpenetrated. We have, say, 130 crore people in the country. maybe 4 or 5 crore of them pay tax, some amount of tax. In that population, maybe 1 or 2 crores have any direct or indirect access to financial markets. That works out to 1-2%. That number in, say, America is 95%. People who have access to financial markets. The government in India really likes people investing in the financial markets for obvious reasons. It's easy for them to tax that income. Everything is above ground, it's legit, and they can track it very easily. So this number will go up significantly from 2% to 10, 20, 30% as urbanization progresses, as our middle class increases, especially in an environment like today when interest rates have fallen tremendously and the incentive to put your money in a term deposit or a bank FD has fallen along the way. And if real estate continues to kind of laggard and plateau in the manner it has over the last decade, a lot more interest will come into the financial markets. I want to be there to watch the markets exponentially grow. And I know you guys are engineers now, but for any of you thinking of turning entrepreneurs in the fintech space, I think that's definitely one industry where the time is right.
Right. So you entered the market, the fintech industry at the right time, you said. So currently, you advise like the entrepreneurs here to enter the fintech market these years, or is there
I,
any other industry you could advise for?
I think fintech is a good place to start now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay. So now let us talk about the hardships that you must have faced in your journey. Like many people like who see that people have achieved such great heights in their career, people often tend to like ignore the hard work and perseverance that you had in this journey. So what was your battery down moment where you felt like giving it all up, or was there none like this?
No, there were many hardships along the way, especially in the early years more so than the later ones. I think, like I mentioned earlier, that whole building credibility is the biggest thing. When you're new and you tell somebody, okay, use my broking platform, and you're asking him to transfer money, and that money lies in your custodian account in a way, to tell him you're not a cheat and you're not trying to con him is very difficult when no one has heard of it. I think that was probably the biggest challenge. It took many years of being very transparent before we arrived at a point where people really trust us. Outside of that, what were the other challenges? Uh, I think you are a byproduct of what your team is. Uh, I think people often focus on the client too much and don't spend enough time on their own team. It's probably as, if not more important, to keep your team, your colleagues happy as it is for you to keep your clients happy. I think that learning curve uh, where it dawned upon us that it is probably the most cardinal important thing to keep your teammates and your colleagues happy through the journey. Uh, and kind of like every now and then you have this brilliant guy, and to keep them close and keep them incentivized and keep them eager and committed to the journey is the hard thing as well. Yeah.
Right. So what was your motivation going forward? Like even right now in these years, like what is your motivation that keeps you moving forward, keep you targeting the targets that you want to achieve?
Yeah, so innately at the very core, humans are not altruistic. I mean, we all want more than our the guy next to me.
Right.
That battle never ends. I can sugarcoat this and use 100 different words, but at the very beginning it was greed. I mean, there was not enough money in my life and in all the people when we were starting off, and that the concept of having money, or the concept of being able to do all the things that money affords somebody to do, was the biggest incentive. Sure, we wanted to, like make the ecosystem more efficient. We wanted to change a bunch of things. We did want to do all that, but the primary goal was for the business to be successful, which would in turn make you feel less insecure about yourself as a person. I think that's the goal for most businesses, and at different stages, very evolved ones, uh, nascent startups, everybody. But society, I think, has kind of nudged us in a direction where we all feel like we need to pretend and talk about things outside of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So greed is a good emotion until it overpowers the you. So it should not overpower you, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if greed is the right word, but financial gains, I think,
Right.
is, is generally the objective of any company, as it should be.
Right. So
Yeah.
there was one question by Raghav Ajit Sarya. He said that if you could go back 15 years in your life, what three pieces of advice would you give yourself and why?
I think the first thing would be to not take life too seriously. When we're younger, I think we put so much importance to the result of a particular exam or a campus interview or how we score against our classmates and uh, how how we're doing relative to other people in the peer group. Uh, as time passes, I think you come to realize that a lot of what you gave so much importance did not really matter. So to not take life so seriously is great advice. Another thing I would say is when you're very focused, when you're very driven. I mean, you guys are all in IIT, so you're already smarter than I am. I'm sure you're like brilliant people. But when you're very driven and goal focused in life, you often ignore the other facets to your life. Uh, you guys are a lot younger than I am. I have a decade at least over you. But we work on this premise or this concept that life is infinite in a way, and we have to keep working hard and we have to keep running towards a certain goal. But in that process, we forget to realize that we all have a finite amount of time here, right? Like, I probably have 35
Right.
years, you probably have 45, 50 years. It is very important to focus on the other facets of your life, your interpersonal relationships. It could be your family, it could be your girlfriend, it could be your dog, which makes you very happy. But having all of these other components in your life is very important. You do not want to become this old man who has run all his life behind a goal which he has no use of at that point when he's old in life. I think you need to live, yeah, along the way. Never fixate upon one goal and lose out on all these other things in life.
Right.
Yeah.
I think both these advices would match with the like they were rightly pointed out, and I think the audience currently here from IIT need both those advices.
I know.
Not to take life so seriously, not to take exams so seriously, the results, and to have great interpersonal skills. So
I
thanks a
hope
lot for
all your
that.
teachers are on this course.
Right. So you said that there should not be just a single goal looking forward. So I know it can be said only in hindsight, but did you realize the potential of Zerodha back then? And if not Zerodha, what else would you have done? Would it have been chess or something else?
I've always infatuated and flirted with the idea of being a psychologist. I think I'm very intrigued by human beings in general, and how people think, what they think, and why they think it is something I've always found interesting. So that could be one profession I would have enjoyed. And to your first question, no, I mean, Often in life we make these 5-year plans, 10-year plans, 15-year plans. I have made so many of these and failed at every single one of them. To come to the realization that a plan which goes beyond 3 or 6 months is a total waste of time. You just have to, like be nimble, be ready to evolve, but take life as it comes because these plans typically never come true.
Um, I have some questions from the audience that they had filled while registering. So Chiranjeevi says a non-technical founder who wants to start an artificial intelligence startup, what should be his or her starting point? Like basically, if we don't have experience in the thing we are starting into, what's the best thing to do?
Go find yourself a co-founder who has some experience with that.
Right, that's definitely something. Like, how do you build a team around? Like, it's. I
Well,
believe it's the most difficult thing while building your startup. Like having a great team.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day in life, we are all selling. A company is selling something. You as a person are selling yourself, be it at an interview or an exam, right? So you have to find someone who is able in the technical skill set that you do not have. Now with the internet, it's not the hardest thing in the world to find out who they are, and then sell yourself and your idea to them and get them on board. Because when you're starting off, you don't have the money to go out and recruit people. And even if I tell you, these are great places to find people, you're not going to be able to afford what one might have to pay them. So the only other option and way is to go sell yourself to this person and sell the idea to this person and get him aligned with where you think this company is
Right. So Sejal Malhotra says, what key activities would you recommend to college graduates who want to become entrepreneurs to invest their time in?
yeah. So I have many qualms with our system, our Indian system of pedagogy. I think uh, a lot more attention is paid on things which are not really pragmatic than it should be. Hopefully that changes one day. But what we really look for when we are hiring people is hobby projects. What have you built? And we like to look at how you have built it. Have you built it with the potential to scale? How you've structured the product? All of those things. So I think having hobby projects is very important. Uh, if you can have a financial motive of this hobby project, it becomes more serious for you, and in turn is a better gauge of your ability. So I would say outside of your curriculum, uh, let me like try and put it this way: if you're spending 100% of your time to get X amount of marks, you would be better placed putting 70% of the time on doing that. Put 30% of that time, building something with a financial goal. And I think the amount of marks you lose out in the process will be counterbalanced by how much you learn in building this company. At the end of the day, I think it's about who is more able, right? And not about who scored how much. So focus more on that.
Right, that was good. Like, so Aryan Gupta says, once you have decided what you have to do with your idea, how do you go about executing it?
One issue I find here that I think I'm a victim of, a lot of us will be victim of, is we often try to perfect a product before we take it to market. And we'll have hundreds of reiterations and deliberations and all of that. Uh, but like they say, it's easy to seek forgiveness and ask for permission. I think put the product out there and see how people react. See how people acknowledge what you're doing and how interested they might be in it. And in that process, you will learn what you needed to a lot faster than all the deliberations and reiteration.
Right. So Rishabh Chaudhary says, according to you, what does the future of trading look like in India?
Yeah, so trading is very cyclical. I'll tell you in my short journey of 16 years, when I started off fundamentally analyzing companies was the thing, right? First 3 4 years. It then moved on to say technical analysis and uh, following the notion there's nothing really technical about technical analysis, to be really candid. It follows the premise that what has happened in the past will repeat itself in a way. You can pick any indicator, generally a lagging indicator, which will try and recognize patterns from the past and predict that they might occur in the future. That worked well for many years. The whole quantitative, algorithmic, I will have a strategy with lower latency than you. I will shave off 3 microseconds, 4 microseconds. I will put my software on the hardware and save some more time there. Stuff like that. I'll pull a lease line between here and Chicago and I'll have like a time advantage. All of that, the whole quant trading system worked for a long while. They had a good 4 5 years in the sun. The whole sentimental analysis, following what the promoter of a company is doing, trying to scrape relevant news faster than the next guy, trying to engage with managements of companies, uh, trading based on sentiment worked for a while. So all of these are cyclical. They go, they work for a while, they stop working for a while. None of these work in isolation, I feel personally. You'll have to find a combination of all of these which are most apt for you and the ones you're most adept at. But the biggest thing is the willingness and ability to kind of be objective, not be biased based on your preconceived notions, and be willing to have the market tell you what might be working today. And that ability to change, I think, determines who is a good trader and who's not. At the very core of it, every trader gets to this point at some point in their life. Nobody knows what will happen tomorrow, right? Like, I don't know what will happen this evening or like later tonight, let alone be able to predict what will happen with the stock markets tomorrow.
Right.
People try and predict what will happen 6 months, 1 year, 5 years down the line. It's impossible. So when you come to terms with the fact that you can't predict tomorrow, you stop worrying about what might happen tomorrow so much, and you in turn focus on how your portfolio can be more robust and thrive in situations that might arise tomorrow. So if the markets go up 5%, what portfolio should I have which will do okay? If the markets go down 5%, what portfolio should I have which is okay? If the markets are in a range, what portfolio should I have? So when you stop trying to predict tomorrow and when you start thinking about your portfolio and try to arrive at a structure which would work in many conditions, I think you start to begin your journey as a trader at that point. Yeah, that was a long answer, sorry, but I think it's a very complicated concept.
Right. So, like, most of us here are from third or fourth year in the colleges. So, like, currently, I don't know where do I see myself in the next, let's say, just 6 years, as you said. So, how do I like figure out what's the best thing for me? Do I go for hobby projects or online like machine learning, etc., or do I just go into this financial terms and read something up and try to like uh, gain some knowledge of that sector? Like, how do I choose?
Yeah, definitely do a hobby project, but I think we have lived in an age of specialists over the last decade, where specialists have been disproportionately rewarded. I think we are moving into a phase where generalists will do well. So don't only read about what you think you should make your career in. Read about everything, whatever you can get your hands on, and I think you will very naturally gravitate towards one thing or another. But I think to allow for that process to remain really organic, and not influenced by what your parents want you to do, what your teachers want you to do, or what your peer group wants to do and they think is cool right now is very important.
There's so much to learn from this journey of entrepreneurship that even listening to your story from you is actually mesmerizing. So before closing the session, for people who think that entrepreneurship is just an opportunity to make loads of money, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think be honest, be true, own up to the fact that you're doing it to make money. I think people are so sick of bullshit in our ecosystem of startups, and everybody is generally trying to sell one narrative or another. Like honesty is deeply appreciated when you meet people in the ecosystem which you will probably enter in the next 1 or 2 years. Focus on money. There is nothing wrong with that. I think many people who have done well, who might say otherwise, today started off and secretly still focus on money. Uh, just pick the right industry and try to spend a lot of time being very esoteric in a way about all the stuff that you can read about before you truly figure out what you might be passionate about. So put in that time today before you start working on that journey. You will find something. Everybody does.
Like, thanks a lot, Nitin. I truly know that many of us have taken a lot from this talk that you gave, and a lot of pieces of like advice uh, that we could use in our life ahead. So thanks a
Yeah.
lot for that, and
So
for
lovely being with all of you. Loved it. We're always constantly looking for people who want some experience outside. If you guys would like to learn about the world of finance, hit me up. I'm on social media. You can, Instagram me or something at Nikhil Kamath CIO or something like that. If any of you want to come to Bangalore and intern with us or learn about a new industry altogether, you're most welcome. Or if you like any advice, do reach out. Thank you all.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here, and especially Nikhil for sparing your precious time and being with us here today. So I hope to interact with you in future too. And for all in the audience, I wish to see you in other EDC events as well. So till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Nikhil.
Bye. Thanks.